After selecting your context, the next thing you'll want to do is choose a writing style which matches how you actually want these emails to be written. So this is your canvas to be as opinionated as you want, with the specific copywriting nuances that you might want to bring in. So the best practice here is before you start tweaking anything, and we'll hit that next right here so we get to our writing style. Before we tweak anything, just run the agent with the default writing style first. So this is just our out-the-box, like what Octave will put out with these standard configurations. So just hit run test and see what Octave gives you as a baseline. This way you can see what it looks like when you just have it running on your context and your offering. And that way you can make more deliberate changes that you're not guessing on, since you already know what the agent is putting out right now and can make more accurate changes based on what we're already doing. So the first thing in the writing style is the tone. So you can do casual, neutral, or formal. Reading level is how complex the vocabulary of the email is. So we typically recommend high school or college because both of those maintain a professional tone while being understandable to the reader and not using too much jargon. We split up the email level configurations into 3 levels: the subject, the body, and the call to action. For the subject, you can include the person's name, include the company name, make it all lowercase, or you can add custom instructions if you want to be very specific about how you want the subject line to be written. If you want it to be in a very specific format, you can basically just talk to it here. For the email body, there are more knobs and dials here because you can control things like the length, the average number of sentences, the average number of paragraphs, and there's also this thing called methodology. So Octave methodology is pretty much like our opinionated way of taking this context and putting it line by line into an email. It starts talking about the problem. It has some best practices like don't start with "I hope this email finds you well," and things like that is what you can expect from it. And obviously there are some things where you're going to want to tell it more around like how to write the email. Like maybe you run this out the box and there's some jargon here that you don't like. So what you can do is, instead of keeping it on Octave methodology, you can switch it to mixed. And what mixed is like it's still Octave sort of opinionated writing style, but you can basically tell it an instruction here or there, like don't use these particular jargon terms, and you can think of it as like appending to our prompt. Now, if you have a lot more opinions on how to write the email, such as like, okay, I want the first line to say something like this, second line to say something like this, then you can go to custom instructions, and that will give more weight to your instructions. You also have control over the focus of the email. Pain is going to focus more on the problems, benefits more on the solutions, and then neutral, which is going to be a mix of both. And then there's call to action settings. So we have a set of presets around call to actions in different types, like initiating a conversation or finding time to connect. We typically recommend, just based on the results we've seen from a lot of our customers, that the best campaigns or the best performing campaigns don't ask for time in the first 2 emails. So they're typically initiating conversation, or maybe in the best case scenario, like using a lead magnet of some kind. Then in the 3rd, 4th email, that's where they're asking for time and then politely disengaging. So if you want to be creative with this call to action, use something that's not here, like the lead magnet, for instance, where you're saying, hey, can I send you a guide on how a customer similar to you is solving this problem? Something that is super easy for them to say yes or no to, really soft ask. Then we want you to be able to configure that by going, and instead of doing initiate conversation, going to custom and basically telling it how you want to use that lead magnet. So lastly, and probably the most important of the elements of the writing style is the training examples. So, kind of like we mentioned, we want you to be able to scale a highly relevant one-to-one approach to your potentially large and diverse lead list. So this is where it's your opportunity to give it like a golden example of what you would write to one person that's, highly targeted, highly relevant, and then let Octave scale that one-to-one approach to your diverse lead list using the context that you've given it, whether it be playbooks or selecting that context manually. So if you select this plus button here, you can give it your golden example. For all of these email level configurations we did, the subject line, the body, the call to action, as well as the training examples, all of these can be configured for each and every email. So just because we did this for email 1, you could have a completely different approach for email 2, 3, or 4. All right, now that we've gone over the writing style, we can actually test this thing and see how can we tune it up based on the real outputs that we're seeing, and also how can we bring this into our automations and our workflows in a really intelligent way, whether that be on Clay, N8N, Cargo, or whatever tool you're using to call these Octave agents.